Good day, welcome to the Acer channel, where today we will be doing something slightly different. And what we will be doing today is have a look at our Walkiefleet PTT network, but more over the devices that we are using on it, as there are some questions. So this is a tutorial video and not a product video, but you can browse through it and see the functions and how the PTT network works. Okay, so on the table in front of me we have three devices. All three are Android based. We do also have a iOS app as well, which I'm not going to demonstrate at this point in time. So this is a standard Samsung S7 device, which we will be opening up and showing you. We already have logged into this device, and it shows you that there is a dispatcher logged in. The green bar shows the users, so the subscribers. Under the list of subscribers, I can see that there is a reaction admin already logged in. Okay, if I look at offline subscribers, I can see in my company I have a test device, I have an iOS app, I have an Enrico T199 and a Hytera PNC. Those devices are currently offline. Okay, if I look at online subscribers, I can see that there is a reaction admin. I'm just going to go through the app and what you see here. In the corner at the settings, there I can log out this device. There is a settings. I can change the password. About will basically just tell you the version number of the software. Okay, and it'll give me the user that I am logged in at the moment. Okay, so what else have we got there? We can quit, which will basically just log out of the app. Okay, in settings there will be a few settings, and I will just browse through it quickly. You can stop the video if you want to and see what options do we have available. Okay, I am not going to go through all these settings. It'll make this video very, very long and tiring and so boring. So, okay, I'm basically just showing you that there are some settings you can have a look at that'll change the behavior of the app. Okay, so without any further ado, I will be looking at switching some devices on. Before we go further, let me just show you that I can have a group selected or unselected, and for the purpose of our video I'm going to unselect it so that all the groups show on the device. Okay, let's go further. Let's have a look at our first device. Our first device is the Enrico T199. I'm basically showing you the two primary devices we use. It will be the Inrico as well as the Hytera PNC370. These devices I will be using for different functions, and I'll explain them as we go along. So, okay, our first device which we have is the Enrico T199. This is strikingly similar to the T529a, which is a later device. It is also, this device is a 3G device with no NFC capability. Some of the last devices that came out on the T199s did have NFC capabilities, but they are 3G with no fancy additional funny things built into it. Okay, the later one, the Enrico T529a, looks identical to this one, exactly the same. It is a replica of this one, but a updated version for a 4G and LTE networks. Okay, so it is exactly the same. Batteries are the same, belt loop is the same, antennas are the same, the look is exactly the same, and it essentially works the same. It sounds slightly different starting up, but has a different Android version loaded into it. I think they have changed the memory a slightly bit and maybe a faster processor, but it is essentially the same device for all intents and purposes. It just has LTE and 4G and an NFC transceiver built into it. Okay, let's have a look. This device is switched off, as you can see. I'm going to switch it on, and within the first second or so the light comes on showing that the microprocessor has power. It is going into a boot sequence. Shortly thereafter there will be that rockety sound. That rockety sound shows us or tells us that the microprocessor is in process of booting up and looking at all the applications, loading the bootloader.
Searching network.
Next up will be looking for a network, and she says searching network. Now what happens here is the LED will flash quickly, indicating that there is a search in progress. Once she finds a cell phone network and is logged in,
Group 1.
she will indicate the group that it will be logged in. In this case, it is group 1. I've shown you on the phone app that we have 4 groups for this test tutorial video that we are making, and it is logged in on group 1. Once it's logged in, it will have a stable heartbeat LED. Okay, so the green LED will be flashing once every 2 seconds for almost a second, go off. This is basically just to indicate that everything is fine. The device is logged in, it is sitting in a group, it has a decent cell phone reception, and it is sitting there. It could be also logged in via a Wi-Fi network, which I must just indicate as well. So it's not just cell phone, you can be logged in via a hotspot as well. Okay, so while it is sitting there, it is waiting to receive conversations. Okay, I'm going to turn the volume slightly down so we don't get annoyed with some feedback which we will be receiving, and then I'm going to bring up the next device. Once you have purchased this device from us and we have set up your groups, this will indicate the primary way that we will set up a device. In this case, there are 4 groups, like I've explained previously, but you could have only one group, which will always be your default. And thus, the next thing that I'm going to say, the next statement will really be irrelevant. If you only have one group set up, you will just basically have one group. There is no scanning of various groups. And once you push the button, you will talk in whatever group you are. Okay, this device, however, is programmed for multiple groups, and I'll indicate this.
Group 2, Group 3, Group 4, Group 1.
Okay, and this coincides with the different groups that I have programmed in there. Okay, so let's say we are on Group
3.
We are on Group 3 and we want to communicate. We simply push the button. So bear in mind that this device will receive any group the way that it is programmed at the moment. It'll receive any group, but it'll transmit in the group that you have selected there. So I'm going to push the PTT button and you will see that the device will come up as Group 3. Okay, it is a T199 in Group 3. Okay. While the display is open like this and there's no LED burning on the radio, it indicates that there is a hang time. During this hang time, I can talk back. By now the hang time had fallen out. The hang time is only about 3 seconds long. I'm going to key again so you can see what happens. I key. Once it comes through, it shows that it identifies the group, the device, and that it is receiving. Okay. So if I take it away, you'll see that there's a hang time. In this time, I can talk back. I can talk back and forth the whole time. I can talk. There is no problem with transmitting or anything like that. Okay. But during the hang time, the device will stay open. Okay, the window will stay open, and now I cannot talk back on that conversation. I have to now select a new group as a conversation. If I call this device, remember it's in scan, it will it will receive any group that it is in. I'm just going to use the last group, which is number 3, okay, to talk. Turn the volume down to just show you. I'm talking to this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, just show the volume slightly down. Okay, there is a hang time. When I leave my finger off of that group, you'll see that it shows the highlighted group for a while. The green LED indicates that there is a reception of the channel coming in. Okay. It is receiving in this group. If I take my finger off, the LED will go off, indicating that there is nobody talking at that moment, but I am still sitting in that group and a hang time is active. Okay, you see the hang time there, and the LED goes off, indicating that there's a once the device goes into the flashing of the LED again, you will see that we have we have exited the hang time and that we are in a scanning procedure again. So I'm going to just key, and you'll see there's a hang time that's active, and during this hang time I am part of the conversation. Okay, so I can talk quickly and be part of the conversation. I can talk back and so forth. Okay. If the hang time falls away, the display will change here, and watch the LED as well. Once the display falls away, it returns to the normal screen. The LED will also start going back to normal operation. There you go. The scan is back, and I'm scanning through those groups, and in this device you will also see that the scanning of the groups have started again. Okay, so irrelevant where that radio is, it will receive channel 1 now. I'm just turning the volume up to show you. Okay, or if the scan time expires, I'm just going to wait for the the hang time to expire. The hang time is expired, and you can see it is entering the scan sequence again. Irrelevant of the group that I am in at the moment, I can, let's say, do a conversation in group 2, for instance. Okay. So there you see the light. Okay. When the the hang time expires, the display changes to normal display, and then also the LED starts going to its normal operation. So this is fairly simple for this device. On this device, what we have is a simple channel button, a volume, and I have 2 buttons. The PTT is a dedicated button, but there is another button which we can allocate, and usually we'll allocate the bottom one, and in this case it'll be for replaying the messages. Now what is important to know is the device must be switched on, and it'll keep the last played messages in its memory so you can recall it. And I'm just going to show what the difference is. On the app you have a events tab there that'll show you all the conversations that has happened, and if I replay the last message, I can simply go and I can listen to it. Okay, so this is the last played messages. I'm just going to stop it there so I can listen back what has happened while I maybe missed the call. Okay, so the same thing is possible with this device. As we've programmed it, when it goes out, is we will program the bottom little knob or push button, as you want to call it, to replay the messages. I'm going to turn the volume up slightly. This could take a while. I found, especially with the older T199 devices, it needs to sit on the air for a while, but we can have a look at that later on. So I can show how that works. Okay, let's go back and have a look at what else is available. And what I want to show you now is the PNC370. The PNC370 has a similar function, and it's a hybrid between basically the phone app and the actual radio app with limited functions. The reason why we like this is for a more executive type person that may have multiple groups and do not want to be confused as to what group he is in. Unfortunately, what we have found is that if you have a conversation and you are like on 4 groups, you do not know what group the last conversation had happened on. And that is a problem. So this I would say is perfect for the type of person that is in a single group, not multiple groups, because it can create some confusion, but nevertheless it works well. Okay, here we have the PNC370, and immediately you can see that there is an icon. There is an icon on top of group 1. It has the same 4 groups programmed into it, okay, but number 1 has a funny icon there. This simply indicates that this device is not scanning. In other words, it is not similar to this one. This one will open up any conversation that happens on any channel there. This device, looking at the icon on top, tells me this is a selected group. Okay, so by pressing this button, we have some options. Sorry, the middle button. Apologies for that. Let's just go back again. Okay. By pressing this button here, what the hell? Okay, apologies for that. For pressing that one, I can either mute or I can select it. Now, this is slightly confusing. It seems like the lighter color is the selected one, okay? Not the darker one. The darker one seems to be the unselected value. So in other words, in this case, you can see that I have now selected the unselect option, and I press enter, and you see that that icon has now gone away. Okay, now all the groups are similarly colored, which means that they are equally basically in value. Okay, that just indicates that I will receive any conversation happening at this point in time. So I leave the device, and I just want to show you, although it says group 1 on the display, I can talk on group 3, for instance, and it'll come through and it'll show Android app group 3. Just slide down the volume there. Okay, so irrelevant of me being there, remember the hang time has now fallen out. I'm going to talk in group 3, group 4, it says Android app group 4. Okay, so I have a hang time. During this hang time, I can talk back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and of course I can talk back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I can go back and forth the whole time like this, provided I am in the hang time. When the hang time expires, as you will see, I'm going to keep them together. There you go, the hang time has been expired. So now this is in a scan again, and this is in a scan again as well. If I wish to initiate a conversation in, let's say, group 2, I can go to group 2 and I can push the button. It says group 2, Hytera PNC. Okay, so provided I keep the scan time open, you'll see the color of the display changes at the other end, and now I am back in the scan procedure. I can, however, mute group 2. Let's say I press this button here. Okay. I can go mute and I select it. You'll see that it shows a little no speaker sign there. Okay. So although I will be talking in group 2 and receiving group 2 because it is in part of my scan list, I will not hear anything on this device. It shows that there's a conversation, but there is no conversation. Even if I turn the volume up slightly, just show you, okay, there is nothing happening. Okay, because I have muted that specific group. Okay, if we let the hang time expire, okay, let's take the device back. When the hang time expires again, we will see that we can talk in another group, let's say group 3, and this will be overwhelming. The volume is very loud now. I'm just going to turn it down slightly. So group 3, we can talk. You can hear that there is audio happening. Okay. Let's wait for the hang time to fall out again. There you go. Now we're back in the scan. Remember that group 2 is now muted. So let's do another 2. Okay, there is no audio. Okay. Falls out again, the hang time, and we're back there. I'm just going to take group 2, take the mute away. I'll make it unmute. So all 4 the groups are similar colored, which means they are the same value. Okay. Whatever group I was in last is the group I will have the button programmed on. Okay. So that means if I am in group 2 and I switch the display off, in other words, the radio is now technically switched off, this will PTT in group 2. Let me indicate. Okay, group 2. So let's take this away and switch the display on again. And we go to group 4. Okay. I will be switching off the display again. And all I need to do now, and I'm bringing the device closer again, is I will PTT, and it is group 4. So the last group that I have used is going to be the group that I will be talking in. Now, let's say while I've got group 4 selected, there is a conversation that comes through on group 1. Okay? This device will show group 1. Okay. This device. Okay. So what we do is I can talk back on that group by during the hang time key. If the display goes off after a while, and I'm going to just turn it off, the last group I was on is going to be my primary PTT group. So this was group 1, and if I just touch the PTT now, you'll see that it'll come back in group 1. So the last group that I had the conversation in is the last group that it'll talk back to. You can overcome that by pushing the down button and highlighting the color. If the color is highlighted like that, the device will still receive any group conversation, okay, and talk back, and I can talk back to that group, okay, but remember I have highlighted group 1. So let's see the hang time disappear. And if I key now, it'll talk back on group 1 because I've highlighted 1. There you go, group 1 is now highlighted. So it is quite easy to know which device, which group I will be talking primarily, so I can leave it open or leave it as a selected group. Okay, now what I want to indicate, while the device is lying there, there is nothing happening, no conversation. It sits there doing nothing. Okay, the LED does not behave the same as it is with the with the T199. In this case, there is no LED that lights up. Okay, I think they've done this for the battery power. So technically, for all intents and purposes, this device is now asleep, you would think. But if I key on group 1, you will see it'll come up and it'll receive. So while it is receiving, the green LED comes on. When the conversation stops, it simply goes off. It behaves slightly different when the display is on. Okay. In fact, it is exactly the same. I thought that the LED will stay on to indicate the hang time. But it seems like it is exactly the same. The LED in this case does not show the status of the device. It only shows that you are receiving a signal. Okay? Even when such a group is muted. I'm just going to wait for the hang time to expire. Let's say 1, we mute the group. There, it's mute. We mute it, indicated by that little icon on the back. Okay, we switch the display off. Group 1 is muted, so I'm going to talk back. It will show that there are conversation happening. So while the people are talking in the background and you are sleeping, you will see that the device is just showing every now and then, and it makes the beep dependent on how the settings has been set on both devices. Okay, I hope that has gone through basically everything that you want to know. I'm just going to take that back to unmute it again. That's selected, so I can have a selected and an unmuted group. Let's just make that unselect. Okay, what you can also do with this device, you do have individual call capability. So by going left or right, I can move between group and individual calls similarly as what I've got there. I can go between subscribers and I can go to groups. Okay, so I can do the same thing on here. So if I want to talk to the Android app, I can go to Android app and I can talk 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, if I just want to talk to, let's say, the T199, I can go to T199, I can key it, and you see that that device is not receiving anything because I'm not talking to it. However, the 199 is receiving. And the same, there is also the hang time that is active there. If you look at what is going on the LED on the T199, you can see I'm keying between the two groups within the hang time. And while that is going on in the background, the other user in my group is not affected by it. Okay. So there you go. We are in the scan group. In the scan hang time. When the hang time disappears, look at the LED and the display here. Disappears, the radio will go back to its scan sequence where it'll wait for any conversation. Okay, so I can have this device back and I can make it my primary group that I want to key in is now a darker color. I can change this so that the display lights up when a call comes in. Some people don't want it like that, so that we can change over the air like the customer wants it. Okay, on this device we have program P1, and if they haven't asked for it, we will simply program it like that. If it's not like that, we can do that over the air for you, with the last conversations being replayed once I press P1. Press P1, you can hear the conversations being played in reverse. Okay.
You'll see the device. And it makes the beep dependent on how the settings have been set on.
Okay, so that'll work there, and it'll stop, so I can either listen to all the conversations being played in reverse or just stop it. Okay, there are some settings you can go into. You can have a look at the settings yourself, but in this case I'll be switching the display off, and then by now I think this device has now been able to load all the recordings in the background. Okay, let's have a look and see if that works now. Maybe it's not programmed on this device, but it does exactly the same. It keeps all the recordings and it'll replay. There you go.
This device is not receiving anything because I'm not talking to it. However, the one I is
So you can hear. Okay. So once you press that, it'll load the conversations, and I think it'll take about a second or so before it plays it, and then you can just stop it by pressing it again. Okay, there you go. So you can see me stopping and starting the recording. Okay, there, I'll just hold it for about a second or so, and it'll start playing the conversations, and I can just stop it again. Okay, there you go. I think that concludes our two devices, as well as the app operation on exactly how it works on our Walkiefleet server. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, please leave it in the comments below. If you need any explanation on any other product that we do, I will gladly do a video for you. But this concludes our tutorial on Walkiefleet on Android. Thanks for watching. Be sure you subscribe and share this video.